Have you ever wished you had the right thing to say at the right time? Or just wished you could have got back at that person who was really annoying or just being an all-around douche to you? Well, these are some stories of people who did. r/TraumatizeThemBack. I was the traumatizee. Not sure if this counts, but it happened to me. When my daughter was about 5 months old, I took her to the local pool for the first time. It had a water playground with a shallow pool on the side. I was sitting with the baby between my legs, splashing and watching the big kids play. She was loving it. Out of nowhere, this kid, maybe 7 years old, walked right up to us and sprayed my baby in the face with one of those syringe-style water sprayers. She started screaming. I was livid. I stood up and grabbed the toy from his hands and yelled, "Where is your mother?" I think you can guess where this is going. His back stiffened. He looked me straight in the eyes and sneered, "I don't have a mother," then ran off. I mean, they were being a douche in the first place, but that is a very response from some 7-year-old kid that you can't get me in trouble because I don't have a mom. You look like someone died. My family moved when I was 19 because my mom was sick. She'd been accepted into a clinical trial, but by the time we'd moved, her illness was too advanced. I tried to make friends in my new town to take my mind off of my home life. Mostly I'd go to a nearby coffee shop. There was another regular around my age named Alex, who was very nice but very brash. I liked talking with him, but I never shared what was going on at home. My mum declined pretty quickly. 6 months after we moved, she was in hospice care and died at home. Shortly after she passed, I took my brother and godfather out for a coffee so that we didn't have to see the mortuary vehicle pull up into our driveway. Alex was outside of the coffee shop. He took one look at me and said, "Jesus, you look like someone died," and then started laughing. I said, "Yeah, my mum, an hour ago actually." I can still see his face. Jaw dropped, color drained. He stammered an apology and left. A lot of time has passed and we're all doing better. I decided to post this because I got another message from Alex today apologizing for what he said. He sends them to me at least once a year. I think he can learn from this that if someone looks like, someone died, it's quite likely because it is. People aren't always the best at hiding everything. So if someone looks upset about something, they probably are. Pull their hair back. Context. My mother is 59 years old. My brother has twins, boy and girl. My mum watches them most days while they're at work. She's still learning the new parenting, but she's harmless overall anyways. I have a 15-month-old. He is getting into the hair yanking phase. I told her this. Here's how that conversation unfolded. M equals mum, OP equals myself. OP. My son has started grabbing our hair and yanking it out. Mother. Just take his hair and pull it back. OP. Mother. It worked with you. OP. Yeah, and now I'm into hair pulling. So what does that tell you? My mom lost it, and I'm pretty sure my dad was in the room to hear me. That's a bonus. Teaching them young, I guess? Not sure I like that. You want to know details about my medical procedure? I'll tell you the details about my medical procedure. My teen daughter was spending the day at a school friend's house, and I arrived to pick her up. I'd met the parents before. Enough we knew each other's names, what we do for a living, etc. But we're not close with them. They're migrants from the same country as my partner, but my partner is far more assimilated into the culture here. What subjects are appropriate for conversation and whatnot. So I arrive and the mum asks, "Would you like some tea? Something to eat?" I say, "No thanks, I'm good." She says she'll bring me something anyway, there's plenty of food left from lunch. I tell her no thanks because I'm fasting. Now fasting among this culture is very common. Mostly for religious occasions, so she's obviously curious why I'm fasting, given I'm a white guy. I tell her, it's actually for a minor medical procedure. She asks what it's for. Am I okay? I tell her, it's nothing serious, it's a routine procedure, not my first time, all good. She asks what the procedure is and what hospital I'm using. Now at this point, I've tried to be pretty obvious that I'm being evasive and she's not picking up on the clues. I'm not shy at all about it, but I really don't want to burden others with details, but she asked, so I tell her. It's a colonoscopy, not at a hospital. My gassy boy does it. Now at this point, I assumed she knew what a colonoscopy is, and she was going to shut up and let my daughter know that I'm here to pick her up. But her curiosity knows no bounds, and she's come this far, and she's not letting this go. Even if she did know what a colonoscopy is, I'm pretty certain she doesn't want to know the details. Oh, a colonoscopy. What's that? Okay, she literally asked for this, so I tell her, they insert a camera up my butt. It's attached to a long cord, and it goes all the way up my lower intestine. The doctor uses it to take photos and detect any abnormalities. That's fine because I'm under a sedative and I'm asleep for it. No, the worst part is the night before. I have to drink a liquid which induces diarrhea, which completely empties my bowels so they're clean for the camera. That's definitely the worst part. I could see the color drain from her face, and she just says, "Oh, I'll let your daughter know you're here." And she went into the house, and a few moments later, my daughter arrives. The mum is nowhere to be seen, and her daughter shows up to the door and says goodbye. In the car, I gleefully tell my daughter, "You'll never guess what her mum asked me," and regaled her with the story. She nearly died laughing and said, "Serves her right. She's a nosy cow, and she always asks me a lot of personal questions while I'm there." Golden rule, folks. Don't ask people about their medical issues. It's none of your business, and if you're not careful, you might find out more than you want to know. Yeah, I used to have to deal with someone like this who just, no matter how much you avoid the topic, they just feel like they have to know your personal business. I don't really have any good Traumatize Them Back stories about it. I just understand the pain, and I wish I was like this person and could get them back. Jealous of how much time I had during sick leave? Earlier this year, I had 4 weeks of sick leave after my thyroid was removed due to cancer. I didn't have a lot of energy and wanted to find a silver lining, so I decided to re-knit some old favorite sweaters that don't fit me anymore, due to weight loss, as a way of celebrating a new start, I guess. When I went back to work, one of my co-workers responded to the story saying, "I wish I had time to knit only 1 sweater in a month, let alone 3. So I replied saying, "I highly recommend cancer as a way of finding some time to knit. Plenty of time and plenty of reasons to want to keep your brain somewhat occupied with something positive." She apologized. I didn't. I mean, there was no reason to apologize there. I feel like they probably knew why you had this time off, and so I don't know why they were fantasizing about it like that. You look like hell. This was a few years ago. My brother was just released from his first month of inpatient chemo, and I told him I'd taken the day off to do whatever he wanted. It had been a particularly rough month. He suffered a few minor heart attacks that we were unaware of until 4 days later when I brought him in for the first outpatient appointment, and he looked a bit tired. He wanted a Guinness, a burger, and he wanted to get a new pair of boots. We grabbed food first, and then we went to the Doc Marten outlet. While shopping, the employee came over to make small talk and see what we were looking for. My brother is a very personable person and liked to joke around. He always clowned on each other, and I think the employee picked up on that. My brother made an offhand comment about how I needed to get some new boots for myself because mine were looking haggard. Then the employee decided to get in on the fun and says, "You're one to talk. You look like hell." My brother and I kind of stopped for a second. No more joking or laughing. We looked at each other, then at the employee. Finally, my brother says, "I have leukemia, and I just left the hospital this morning." Now I get salespeople trying to match the energy of their customers and being comfortable and friendly with certain customers. I used to work retail, so I understand. The employee went ghost white and just let out a, "Really?" After about 10 seconds, my brother and I burst out laughing. Finally, my brother told him that yes, he did have cancer, and he did just get out of the hospital. But the awkwardness and embarrassment that guy was likely to feel for the rest of his day, if not the rest of his life, was so funny that it outweighed any outrage we felt in that moment. The employee apologized profusely and then gave my brother his employee discount on the boots. We talked about the interaction very often. At that point, we had known about my brother's condition for about a month. It was in that moment, when the outside world took notice that he already looked sick, and we just laughed at the absurd cruelty and reality of the situation. It was a long road, and after countless complications and long hospital visits, my brother died 8 years later. Sometimes I wonder if that employee thinks, "I wonder if that guy's still alive," and it makes me laugh. Yeah, I think that's kind of the whole thing of, when you make a joke like that, you invite the reaction of, "Well, I look like hell because I'm going through hell." If you don't want to end up with this reaction, just don't point out things like that. Find something else to joke about. I didn't look handicapped. He didn't look stupid. We were both wrong. A couple of things to know first. 1. I have a few issues causing me pain. Some days are worse than others, but I do have a disabled placard in my card for those days walking is difficult. However, I don't look disabled. Pretty sure you know where I'm headed. 2. My husband was in the military, multiple deployments during OIF and OEF. Because of these deployments, he wore a patch on his sleeve that denoted the unit he was overseas with. No deployment equals no patch. What happened? I was having a particularly difficult day but needed to go food shopping. I found a handicapped spot and parked. It takes me a minute to get out of the car. When I do, there are 3 soldiers waiting for me behind my van. I didn't think anything of it until the E3, private first class, goes off on me about taking up parking spots from a person who needs it. His friends were all nodding in agreement. Safety in numbers, perhaps. I took one look at his uniform and said that I noticed his naked sleeve, meaning no deployment patch, and that maybe he should not talk about things he knows nothing about or clearly has no experience with. Maybe he should be more understanding of invisible wounds that many of his fellow soldiers are suffering from. At the mention of the naked sleeve, he and his friends realized that I was either military or a wife, and all three looked shocked. His friends abandoned him and went to their car. The E3 was just stammering and saying, sorry, and trying to figure out how to disengage from our conversation. I'm not confrontational, but this one made my day. He definitely won't be making assumptions like that again. The title of this came from my super smart daughter who told me I should have said this to him. Next time I will. It seems to be a common theme about these people trying to like white knight and tell people that they're not disabled or try to keep the spot open for someone who is disabled. But I mean, there's already like laws and stuff for that, and you know, you can always wait for them to go inside and then check that their car has the handicap marker, and that's a pretty easy way to tell. I don't know why people just want to get humbled like this, but it makes for entertaining stories. Oh, you want to start it? I'll finish it. Clarification. This is my dad's experience, and one he's particularly proud of. When my dad was in junior high, he was frequently picked on by this one particular kid and his posse. The kid would do things like try to provoke a reaction out of my dad, like stepping in front of him, or snatching papers out of his hands. However, my dad was, and still is, a very patient and laid-back guy. He never gave him the satisfaction. One day, however, my dad was waiting in the office to speak with the principal about a different matter unrelated to the bullying, when the aforementioned bully and his group of friends walked up to my dad and started picking on him. Something finally snapped, and my dad grabbed his tormentor, who was much taller than him, by the collar and dragged him into the principal's office. After explaining the situation, the principal asked the bully to stay behind, while my dad went back to sitting in the lobby. By then, the bully's friends had scattered. A few minutes later, the principal came back out of the office, bully in tow, and told him to apologize to my dad. My dad stood and smiled as the bully reluctantly gave an apology. Then the two went their separate ways. Needless to say, that kid nor his friends picked on my dad for the rest of time that they were in school. Some people are very unaware of their surroundings, and also maybe not the biggest brained individuals. I think there were multiple ways this could have gone. Your dad picked a pretty good way, but trying to pick on someone right outside the principal office, I think, is kind of like a really dumb move, you know? It's dead, just like my kid. When I was 6 years old, actually a few days after my 6th birthday, my father passed away from possibly a torn artery. We would have known if my C-word, hopefully rotting in hell grandmother would have chosen the autopsy. Anyways, for years it took a toll on me. He was my best friend. Even today at times, I think I wish he could be here to see all of this. As I get older though, something my dad said struck me. First thing in the morning he'd say, "There's my big boy smile," followed by me giggling, then go, "And there's his giggle." I reminded myself that he always loved when I was happy, so how would he feel knowing I was sad because he is no longer with us? It was then I finally just wanted to make others happy and smile. In a way, taught me to keep on smiling because we don't know how long we got. As I got older, my humor would get dark, and what's darker to me than my dead dad? I travel a lot for work. I usually bring my vape pen with me. I work with a regular team of guys, and usually if we aren't doing anything, we smoke. I always forget to plug it in at night, and one day, one of my guys got it when the battery was dead. He goes, "Dude, WTF, it's dead. You don't charge it?" I respond, "Sorry, it's dead. Just like my father." Everyone else felt awkward, but wanted to laugh so badly. He just gave the shocked Pikachu face. Since then, it's a running joke to anything not alive. I'll admit, I do it at the wrong time too. One day, I was just at a 7-Eleven and tried using the tap to pay when the cashier told me the pin pad died on us this morning. I responded, "Just like my father did that morning, except he can't be fixed." He looked at me awkwardly, like he didn't know what to say, and that's when I knew. Yeah, maybe close friends only. Yeah, that's a mistake you don't make too often. You kind of need the backing of a friendship to make the jokes like that work, but good on you for trying. No, you can't reach her. So my mom's been dead for almost 8 years now. The first 2 years, so many companies called and wanted to still sell her something. One day, I was so fed up, and the call went like this. "Hello? Hi, we are trying to reach your mom. Is she available?" "No, sorry." When will she be? Is there a good time to call back? No, she doesn't live here anymore. In the beginning, I didn't like to talk about it, so just said she moved out. Where can we reach her? Try the graveyard. If that works, give me a call back. Never had someone hang up so fast. I think I would have gone with like the Ouija board or something, move it around if you want to reach her. But that's a good comeback nonetheless. I've worked in a sales job and this is exactly the template that they use when calling people. And yeah, it doesn't leave a lot of room for something like this to happen. Alright, well, I think that's enough traumatization for today. So, like the video, subscribe, watch another one. We'll see you next time. Peace.